this history, all these good times.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Times, but they really gonna do this.
For the good times. All right. Is we ready? Put your phone on silent. Because you be getting texting. Dun, 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 dun. Your job. All day. With the emails. Okay.
This is me and I'm bossing.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Hypothesis Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor.
I'm Token, and welcome to the first visual episode of the Hypothesis Podcast.
I had to throw something in my hair because I was looking a mess.
I just put a hat on.
That's my hat. So I couldn't just put a hat on. Obviously, y'all already know what we're about to talk about. We're about to talk about the coronavirus.
That was a perfect setup for you to say something completely different.
Then why didn't you say something completely different?
Because it was supposed to be your bit.
Anywho, I'm not savvy like that. I'm just what I am. You get what you get. So anyway, the coronavirus. We are on like a 15-day quarantine in the house. We're supposed to be in the house. What they've done. I mean, y'all know what the fuck is going on. They shut down everything. You know, restaurants are only doing drive-ups, et cetera, et cetera. People are supposed to stay in the house. They're supposed to limit physical social interaction and stuff like that. They call it social distancing. People have stopped running up in all the stores, getting a bunch of toilet paper finally, thank God. And we're just trying to wait out this virus. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about exactly what I think about the virus, but I just want to ask you, Token, what do you think about everything that's going on right now?
I honestly hope it gets worse. I'm hoping that if we can push the market to almost crash again, you see, as they keep trying to put stimulus package after stimulus package into the market, it just goes away.
I just feel like, where is all this money going and coming? Like, how do y'all keep on making all this money and we're in so much debt? Like, I don't understand.
It's all fake.
It really is all fake, y'all. Like, the money is fake. They make it if they want it, and if they don't want it, they don't make it. Like, we are not supposed to have $1 trillion to be able to put into the stock market in emergency funds because we're like, what, $36 trillion in debt? So it's like, where is the money coming from, huh? I don't know. It's fake. Stock market is fake.
It's weird because, like, we could have had, like, no more debt, like, no student loan debt.
Yeah.
Or they could have paid off, like, people's medical debt. They could have gave this money to actual people to spend the money. Because that's, in my opinion, that's the way to really boost the economy, is to give people spending power. And for some reason, our government is always trying to give tax cuts. And that doesn't really do anything for people's spending power. That doesn't really necessarily always encourage somebody to go out there and spend.
Right. People like their money fronted.
Yeah.
They like an advance.
Right.
Giving us an advance on these tax cuts, my guy.
Direct deposit.
We like those direct deposit, and we're not seeing that. But, I mean, no matter how fake this money is and how fake the stock market is, the problems that are created are real, and we are really dealing with them.
Yeah. I don't want people to get twisted and think the coronavirus is fake. It's an actual thing.
Yeah.
I think because we don't, as a country, really know how to deal with anything. These are the best measures that we could come up with so far, as far as trying our best to stay isolated so it doesn't spread and so it doesn't become as bad as the flu is currently.
What I think is the craziest thing out of this is now we're starting to see how we can actually be treated a little bit more fairly in society through the measures that we've had to take for coronavirus, like pressuring businesses to suit themselves for people to work from home.
Yeah.
Giving people paid sick leave. Giving people emergency cash funds. I was hearing some stuff about various agencies or government agencies in different state governments giving out, allowances.
Freedom dividends.
Freedom freaking dividends.
Shout out to the Yang Gang.
Yeah, to like kind of as a stopgap.
Yeah.
To try to alleviate people of what's going on. And I just think that it's crazy that we are actually like in the midst of an election a primary election, and we have a candidate that is trying to implement a lot of more socialistic ideas to kind of help the consumers that keep this economy booming. And we're voting against him. And I mean, now he's lost. That's just that. He just lost Illinois. He probably lost the last 3 states that voted on yesterday. They're disenfranchising young voters. I know in the state of Illinois, people between the ages of 18 and 24, they were 8% of voters, and then people between the ages 25 and 29 were 8% of voters as well. Now, I'm not going to say that it's all because of disenfranchisement, because we historically don't turn out to the polls.
No.
But like this year specifically, like I know a lot of universities are just making their students move out like within like days notice. So like my university or our alma mater,
don't let me in.
is making the students evacuate within 2 days of student housing. What I want to know is, are they going to receive refunds for the cost of living this semester?
No, Illinois needs that money.
And we've already spent that money. And I want to know. Yeah, that's really what I want to know. I also just want to know, like, it's sad because a lot of students are homeless, so it's like a lot of them don't really have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
They don't really have any money to put their stuff in storages and stuff like that. So it's unfortunate. So our young voters were dealing with a lot here in Illinois. I believe that they should have postponed the primary election. I voted early, so I didn't have that issue, but a lot of us didn't vote early. And I think they should have done something to kind of either slow up this process, because this is such an important election, or just give us an entirely new date to vote in general. They didn't, and we lost significantly. Bernie lost significantly in the state of Illinois. I think it was like a 93 to no, not 93, but it was like he had like 59% of votes.
Yeah, no, I stopped watching after he lost
Michigan?
Nah, like North Carolina, South Carolina, because I was like, this is a trend. I know it's going to go on.
Did Michigan vote?
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost that too, though.
Yeah. Nah, he's been pretty much just losing. He won California.
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate because I really did want to see him in the White House out of all the candidates. I mean, I would have taken him or Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, I think I'm just interested in somebody with new ideas.
I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel to really just bring us policies that give us actual justice and are for a republic.
I don't know. I think that's why people voted for Joe Biden, because they're like, Bernie's too radical. He's trying to reinvent the wheel. So let's go with somebody that's a little bit safer.
He's not safe at all. He is about to. I mean, well, actually, we're about to lose the election. I'm gonna vote for him.
Because you have to.
Because I have to. Because I'm not going to not vote. And I'm not going to vote for Trump. And I'm not going to do some dumb shit like write in a vote. At this point, every vote matters and every vote counts. So
what if we all just wrote in Bernie?
Could we, though? Because, can you get your people to organize and do that?
I have no idea.
Because we didn't make it to the primaries. So I wouldn't put any money on us again to do some shit like that.
Nah.
Yeah.
Because I think Barack Obama was a very special case. He happened to be young enough and hip enough to garner some youth attention.
Young, hip, attractive, and very black. What I mean by very black is dark-skinned black wife, 2 black kids, black dogs. And he doesn't mention that he's mixed at all. So he was a very black candidate. We had just come out of a recession and some super fraudulent voting with George Bush, and we needed a revamp. He was like a breath of fresh air. He was like a mint in your mouth. So everybody was excited to see that.
Yeah.
And they voted for him. And I mean, I think he was a cool dude. I think representation matters, and I think that did a lot for black people socially. I think it made more black people a little bit more empowered within themselves to get out and do things that they haven't ever done before. We did see a lot of backlash because of that, like the increase of like police brutality towards black people increased, like domestic terrorism issues increased towards like black people and people of color. Agencies were, more outwardly racist to people. But that's because they were all scared because black people were feeling themselves at that point in time.
Yeah, but racism ended in 2008. That was the end of racism when we elected a black president.
Truly was, but actually,
all previous slavery and social injustice and Jim Crow is just wiped completely clean.
I don't really have anything sarcastic enough to say back.
Oh, you can disagree.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's joking.
It just showed because that's literally the philosophy that a lot of people have.
Yeah,
I mean, both liberal and conservative, like people who were very much pro-black as well. Just because they're like, well, we finally did the number one thing they said we could never do. So,
and what the issue with that is, then a generation of children grow up with a black president, and so then they believe that racism is not real. Like, my nephew grew up with a black president. If he wasn't taught that racism, segregation, systemic, institutional, and social forms of oppression weren't just different forms of like slavery and enslavement back then, he wouldn't have known about that. Like, he wouldn't have thought that it was real. And I still do believe like he and a lot of his generation kind of don't really take into account just how real it is, because people in our generation don't even.
I think we don't know how to measure it anymore, since it's not like a whole bunch of lynching. Like, it's not as blatant in a lot of places anymore. Because I was thinking, if we measure how cohesive a country is based off of who their president is, then we have failed to measure anything. Because that's great to grow up with a black president. Do you have a black governor? Or is
county clerk?
Yeah, county clerk. Is your representative
school board?
Like,
is your representative
if your
black?
demographics of your neighborhood is mostly black, who is your representative? Do you have a white alderman?
Small Business Association president black? Huh? All
of that.
Yeah,
but
it's
those
a lot.
aren't things that we look at, though.
And also, what? We look at representation. We look at people. We look at Hollywood. We look at the White House.
Yeah.
We look at Oprah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate because we're so wrapped up in representation sometimes, most of the time, that the actual shit that goes on behind the scenes is overlooked.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuance and minutia that we forget, as far as like having black judges or sheriffs or deputies or just
teachers.
Police in general. Teachers is a really big one. After school program directors,
nonprofits,
city council. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're not looking at, because I guess it's a lot harder to look at like the more intricate parts than to just look on TV or a magazine and say, oh, we can see black stuff or Latino stuff.
And another thing is, like, we're so used to social stratifications that even like in different groups, like different racial groups, we have that. So like, we look at, it's like for black people, I always tell black people, we don't have the time and we don't have the numbers to kind of look at each other and differentiate between the groups as much as everybody else. There's not that many of us. So like we can't look at uneducated black people and be like, oh, they're uneducated. They don't know anything about being civically engaged. We can't do that. We have to understand that everybody has a role, they have a purpose, and they have the right to be informed citizens. And so we, like, black intellectuals, have their job is to be able to bring that information back home and make it palatable so that we all feel empowered and that we all understand what we need to be looking for. Because there's a group of people that understand certain things need to be put in place. But when you're not reaching the masses, it doesn't matter what you know, because it's all in vain. If you keep on going to prestigious or elitist institutions and conferences that most normal people, working class people, can't afford to go to, and just keeping that information there and never bringing anybody new that would not be in that space otherwise, then it's pointless. It's just to stroke your own ego, to wear your nice dresses, to wear your nice suits, and to mingle with people that are like you. So come September in Washington, D.C., where all these black folks congregate for y'all know what, look at the people that's in the room with you. Are they people that were there last year, the year before? And what has been really achieved out of these big conferences? And just to bring it back to what we were supposed to be talking to, which is coronavirus. Yeah, let's do that. We love to talk about black people here, so sorry. Regarding coronavirus, I do believe that the efforts to minimize large crowds of people are extremely necessary, because things can pass super quickly. And Americans and just people are dirty, apparently. Like, not washing their hands after they use public bathrooms, not wiping off their phones, like, periodically, just not really taking into account the little acts of hygiene you should do throughout the day. I think this is making people more aware of that. I also think this is making cities fund like cleaning for certain things. Like, I seen like New York said that they were like washing down their subways like twice a day. Like, my God, y'all should have been did that. I visited New York a couple times and I almost threw up in the subway because it was so hot and moist and stanky down there. And I seen rats just all up and down the tracks. I could have passed out. I could have, but I didn't. But I could have. It was disgusting.
True.
Yeah, but I think that it's important to try to limit that spread. I think that if we didn't limit the spread, obviously, like, our hospitals and our healthcare system would kind of collapse, because we don't have enough workers, we don't have enough facilities, and we don't have enough people that have health insurance that can just get treated quickly and get out of there, you know. I also think that just our entire society is built on like reactions instead of like proactivity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, I just think that we're not equipped for this to get any bigger than what it has. So I think that it's appropriate to be quarantined in this period. And I think that people are going to start questioning, or hopefully, I will hope that people start questioning why a lot of these things that are going into place now can't be something that's consistent. Like, first of all, why the hell are we working 8 hours a day? That's a lot of hours to be working throughout your life to make livable wages, just to pay for your cost of living for a lot of us. I also just think that because everything is so virtual and really a lot of these office jobs can get taken care of at home, I think that more people should start asking, why can't we get telework days or work from home days on a regular? Sometimes it just boosts your productivity, but sometimes it just gives you a break from being in the same space for too long.
Right.
And hopefully just people continue being more conscious of cleanliness.
Hopefully.
I'm sure they won't, but
we can hope and pray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, like, okay, I hate trying to have conversations with people who are like intellectual or people who like their lives revolve around politics, like the actual art of like studying politics versus like sociology. Mm-hmm. Because like they don't believe in conspiracy theories. I'm sorry, I like a little conspiracy in my theory because nothing is too far-fetched.
What does that mean?
So there has been like speculation that there would be like a quarantine, like the government is trying to decide whether or not they need to go into like a countrywide quarantine, and like people automatically, I feel like when I say stuff like that, people are thinking, well, first of all, obviously, like I don't know, and everything is like really essentially word of mouth until you get some receipts, right? But like people think that that's bizarre, and I'm thinking like, do you guys know about like Black Wall Street? Like, do you know what happened? Why Abraham Lincoln got shot? Do you know who killed Martin Luther King? Like, nothing is too far-fetched. And so I say all those to say that when you speak words sometimes, it might sound Hollywood because we think quarantine, we think of like the movie Quarantine. We think of people walking around in hazmat suits and like AK-47s making people stay in their house. You know, we think of stuff like that. You won't think of a quarantine as something like the federal government suggesting for state governments to take heavier precautions in keeping people indoors, and then states doing stuff like making businesses close and not even just do drive-through. And then like ordering in their National Guard to like roam the streets to make sure that there aren't too many cars on the streets. People don't really understand that a lot of the things that are inflicted upon us are eased on us. It's never just hit. You never just hit right in the face at stuff. You get eased into whatever system that they're trying to make. Like, it wasn't one day that like Europeans came over to Africa and was like, we finna take all the slaves. They were visiting. They were doing research. They were going back and telling people. They were going and talking to the locals, building relationships up until they were like, all right, this is what we're about to do. It takes time. So I don't know what's going to happen. I think what I'm hoping will happen is that the cases will start dying down faster because people will be indoors. But if it doesn't, I do not put it past the government to say, okay, we need to double down on states, because that's the thing. That's another thing. We're in a free society. We're capitalists. So they're not going to like mandate some stuff like in China where they put Wuhan on lock. They put the whole city of Wuhan, China on lockdown. It's like 11 million people. And they've been seeing an extreme decrease of the coronavirus cases. They're actually past their peak, and they're going down in their cases. We can't by law necessarily do that with our government, but we can incentivize. We can give certain companies the leeway to choose what they want to do. But then you already know if one like it's a domino effect. If 3 companies do it, then the rest 6 are going to do it because really they all owned by the same person.
It's feasible.
Definitely. Like, I just read an article and it said that Southwest just halted their services to Midway because some of the workers tested for coronavirus. Who knows? Next thing you know, it's American Airlines. Next thing you know, it's United to Midway. Then next thing you know, they stopping all planes coming in from Washington State. You know, you never know. Like, I think they'll do whatever it takes to kind of minimize this issue, because we can't. If it gets out of control, then it gets out of control. Yeah, so we're gonna keep our ear to the streets and see how Corona plays out. I will say, stay strong in this time. I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna do any at-home workouts. I might, but I've actually been like going outside because, I mean, not a lot, but like yesterday I did walk on the trail because it was like 50 degrees and I needed to get that exercise in after a long weekend. But I am like, we are eating clean and, you know, just kind of being mindful of what we're doing with our time, how we're spending our time.
Yeah, I would recommend not just binging Netflix. Like, everybody's streaming something. So I know there are a lot of theaters that are streaming their plays and their musicals. A whole bunch of people are streaming, of course, yoga and whatnot. So do some activities like that. Keep yourself sane.
Yeah, keep your mind right too. Like maybe do some stuff that will like exercise your brain as well. Read. Yeah, you guys can read. Like, this is a great time to read stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously stream the Hypothesis podcast. I mean, y'all can stream this all day, every day. Yeah. I don't care if you stream it 24 hours a day. Do that. Yeah. But also comment on our stuff. Like, talk crap to us. Like,
please do.
Yeah, we want people with different opinions. You know what? I asked like a number of people that had different opinions to get on our podcast, and like, they be scared. Like, first of all, we can make it anonymous. Second of all, we need to have conversations with people that don't agree with us in order to grow.
Yeah, let's debate.
Yeah, and third of all, this might make you famous. You never know.
Never know.
Yeah, so we here. We have HiPod merch if y'all want it. Shirts just came in. You know, that was your phone.
It wasn't.
It was your computer.
Yeah.
See, I told y'all this stuff. But it's been real, y'all. Thank you for tuning into the first visual of Hypothesis Podcast. I'm Taylor.
I'm Token.
And we're out of here.